There are a couple things I would say in response to this question. Number one is that my parents never shied away from some of the tough questions. So I still remember when I was like in middle school, probably coming up to my dad's office and saying like, just what if none of this is real? Have you ever, and I remember asking him like, Dad, have you ever thought like, what if none of this is real? What if we believe in God and heaven and hell and it's just not real? Like, have you ever had that thought? And I don't remember his answer, but I remember him not being surprised, not being shocked, not being overly concerned with, oh my goodness, where's my daughter's faith at? And I've got to convince her that this is real. But I remember him saying, yes, I have had that thought. I have considered it. And then just kind of walking me through that real question. So what that showed me was that there was permission to ask hard questions, and it was really about relationship and not a performance of believing and saying the right things. He really wasn't concerned with that. He was more concerned with me having my own dynamic relationship with God. So that's one thing. The second thing that came to mind was just modeling it. I remember I still have, images of my dad on his knees with his face in his hands on the bed, and my mom in her chair with her hands up, soaking in God's, spirit and worshiping in that place. So just seeing that, that was their quiet time. That was their own personal space with God. The time where kids were not, allowed. And so modeling that was something like, it was visible. It was visible to me. And then the last thing that came to mind was the fact that this is another kind of visibility thing, but my parents led us into the struggle, to their faith walk with God, and then shared in the victory. So what I mean by that is that if there was something going on with our family, they didn't hide it. It wasn't that we were privy to all the information and all the details that might have been inappropriate for a child, but we knew if we were struggling financially, we knew if there was hardship because of sickness in our family or death or, some sort of spiritual warfare. The kids knew if my parents were believing for something. And then when God came through and there was testimony, there was, hey, somebody just gave us a car for $1 when we needed a car. God just blessed us in this way. We were then able to participate in the testimony and the victory. So we got to see God come through, but it meant so much more because we also knew what my parents were believing for and what our family needed. I never felt unsafe, so it wasn't like they were sharing their stress with me necessarily. But that was, I think, a huge part. I would say that was probably the biggest part of helping me cultivate my own real dynamic relationship with God, a vibrant relationship with him, is because there was a lot modeled to me that was, this is real. This is a back and forth equation. This is not just us praying to the sky. And so they modeled that to me in their own personal prayer lives. They had discussions with us, but they led us into the process. So that's what I would say to that question.